My parents made me cancel my vacation because money was tight, but then I found their cruise tickets. I didn't confront them, but now they regret everything. I was cleaning my parents' kitchen and babysitting my nephew when I saw it, a thick envelope sitting right there, half open, like it was nothing. The logo on the front caught my eye first, a fancy cruise line, the kind you only see in those luxury travel ads. I frowned and pulled the papers out. It took me 3 seconds to understand what I was looking at. A full itinerary. My parents, my brother, my sister, her husband, even their kids. A fully paid for, week-long cruise. I felt my stomach drop. My hands tightened around the papers. My heart beat loud in my ears. This had to be a mistake. They couldn't afford a vacation. They told me so 2 months ago. I had to cancel my own vacation because money was tight. My best friends had planned it for a year, 5 days at an all-inclusive resort, the first real break I'd taken in years. I'd saved every penny myself, worked overtime, turned down nights out just to afford it. Then my parents sat me down and told me they needed help. My sister was struggling, childcare was expensive, and she really needed to pick up extra shifts. They couldn't afford to hire a babysitter, and they just needed me to step up for the family. And the money? Well, things were rough. It's just not responsible for any of us to take vacations right now, my mom had said, shaking her head. We all have to make sacrifices. So I canceled. My friends were disappointed but understood. They went without me. Now, standing in my parents' kitchen, holding proof that they had lied to my face, I felt something inside me snap. They hadn't just gone on vacation. They had gone without even telling me. No one had mentioned it, not once. My brother had texted me that morning about borrowing money to fix his car. My sister had asked if I was free for babysitting next weekend. My mom had called just yesterday to chat about nothing. And yet, they were all leaving in 2 days for a cruise scheduled for the exact time of year I could never take off work. I stared at the dates on the paper. This wasn't a coincidence. They hadn't just forgotten to invite me. They had planned it for a time when they knew I physically wouldn't be able to go, just in case I found out and wanted to join. I heard my mom coming down the hallway humming to herself. I shoved the papers back into the envelope and stepped away from the counter, just as she walked in. "Oh, honey, thanks for watching him today," she said, grabbing a bottle of water from the fridge. "You're a lifesaver." I nodded. I couldn't trust myself to speak. She had no idea I knew, no guilt, no hesitation. I forced a smile. "No problem." She glanced at the clock. "Oh, I have to pick up a few things," before she cut herself off, like she almost said something she shouldn't. I waited. She cleared her throat and smiled. "Before dinner." I let her leave without saying another word. I learned early on that in my family, fairness didn't exist. When I was 6, I wanted dance lessons. My mom sighed and told me they were too expensive. We just didn't have the money for that kind of thing. I understood. I was a kid, but I wasn't selfish. I dropped it. A month later, my sister got horseback riding lessons. Not just a one-time thing either. Weekly private sessions. My parents called it an investment because it was her passion. They never saw the problem. It was like that my whole life. My siblings got what they wanted. I got excuses. When I was 12, I wanted a new bike. My brother got one for his birthday, a shiny blue mountain bike with thick tires. When I asked for one too, my dad gave me my brother's old one. The seat was torn, the handlebars wobbled, and the brakes barely worked. "But it's still good," he said. "You don't want us to waste money, do you?" When I was 15, my class was planning a trip to Washington, D.C. I wanted to go so badly. I saved up from babysitting, doing odd jobs, even skipping lunch at school so I could put away a little extra. I always seat. A week before the deposit was due, my mom sat me down. "Honey, we just can't afford it right now," she said. "It's a lot of money. Maybe next year." I nodded, swallowing my disappointment. I knew how things worked by then. A month later, my brother went on a ski trip with his friends. My parents paid for the whole thing. I asked about it once. Just once. Mom gave me a tired smile. "Sweetheart, it's different. He really needed this. It's important for his social life." Right, because mine wasn't. I stopped asking after that. By the time I was in college, I understood my role in the family. I was the responsible one, the independent one, the one who didn't need help. My sister and brother got handouts. I got lectures on hard work. My sister's wedding? My parents paid for the whole thing. Venue, catering, dress, everything. When I graduated, they gave me a congratulations card. No money, no support, just words. My brother struggled in his 20s. He racked up credit card debt, lost jobs, made bad financial decisions. My parents bailed him out every time. "You're doing fine on your own," my dad told me once when I asked why they never helped me the way they helped him. "You don't need us the way he does." I did need them. I just never had the luxury of showing it. By the time I started working full-time, my parents started relying on me for favors. Babysitting, helping out with bills, always giving, never getting. And the vacations? That was the final straw. It had happened before, more than once. Plans would be made, trips discussed, ideas thrown around until it came time to actually book. Then suddenly something would happen. Money would get tight. Someone would need help. My sister's kids had school, or my brother had work, or my parents had too many expenses that month, so we'd cancel. Or at least that's what I thought. Now, looking at those cruise tickets, I realized the truth. They weren't canceling vacations. They were canceling my vacations. Every time a trip included me, it would magically fall apart, but when it was just them, money was never an issue. I thought about all the times I'd sacrificed for them, the trips I'd missed, the friends I'd let down, the years of putting them first. And I thought about how they had gone behind my back, how they hadn't even told me, how they had planned it so I couldn't possibly join. Just in case I found out, I wasn't even worth an excuse this time. That was when something in me changed. I didn't say anything, I didn't confront them, I didn't make a scene, I just stopped. The first test came 2 days later. My sister called me in a panic. "Hey, can you watch the kids this weekend? Something came up at work and I really need the shift." I usually would have said yes, always did. I would have rearranged my plans, given up my free time, dropped everything to make her life easier. Instead, I said, "I can't." Silence. "What?" "I can't," I repeated. "I'm busy." I could hear the confusion in her voice. "But you never have plans on weekends." That stung more than I expected. She wasn't even trying to be rude. She just meant that I was always available. "Not anymore. Sorry," I said and hung up. The text started an hour later. "Mom, your sister said you won't babysit. Are you okay?" Me. "Just busy." "Mom, busy with what?" I didn't respond. I let her sit with that uncertainty. The next day, my brother called. "Hey, random favor. Could you spot me like $100? Just until payday." I almost laughed. This was the same brother who had just come back from a vacation I wasn't invited to. The same brother my parents bailed out constantly while telling me I was fine on my own. "Sorry," I said. "Money's tight." Silence. "Oh, really?" He sounded caught off guard. I don't think I'd ever turned him down before. "Yeah," I said. "We all have to make sacrifices, right?" I could hear the confusion in his voice. He mumbled something about figuring it out and hung up. It didn't take long for them to realize something was wrong. Mom called me that night, her voice overly sweet. "Hey, honey, is everything okay? You've been a little distant." I leaned back against my couch and stared at the ceiling. "I'm fine, just focusing on work." "Oh, good, good," she paused. "You know, we missed you this past week." I nearly choked. They missed me? The people who had gone out of their way to make sure I couldn't be there? "That's funny," I said. "I didn't even know you were gone." Silence. I let it sit between us, heavy and sharp. She had no idea I knew. "Anyway," I said, my voice light, casual. "Hope you had fun." I hung up before she could say anything else. The cracks started forming fast. My sister struggled without me. She had to start paying for a sitter, and suddenly her extra shifts weren't worth the cost. My brother had to figure out his own finances. Turns out when you burn through money expecting someone else to catch you, reality hits hard when that person stops catching you. My parents. They weren't used to me being distant, not answering every call, not showing up when they needed something. I didn't fight with them. I didn't call them out. I just wasn't there, and they felt it. I knew the exact moment it shifted from confusion to panic. Mom showed up at my apartment unannounced. She never did that. I opened the door and saw her standing there, holding a bag of homemade food like a peace offering. "Thought I'd bring you dinner," she said, smiling too wide. I let her in, but I didn't fill the silence like I used to. I let her fidget, looking around my apartment like she was trying to find proof that something was wrong with me. Finally, she sighed. "Hey, just tell me what's going on." I blinked. "Nothing's going on." "Jess." She set the bag on the counter. "You've been different. You're not answering calls. You're avoiding your family." "I'm not avoiding anyone," I said simply. "I've just been busy." Her lips pressed together. "Are you mad at me?" I met her gaze, holding it, letting the silence stretch. I wanted her to sit in it. "Why would I be mad?" I asked finally. Because I had to cancel my trip while you all went on a cruise without me? The color drained from her face. I had never seen her look guilty before. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Jess, it wasn't like that. Oh? I tilted my head. Then what was it like? She floundered. We didn't think you'd want to go, and you're always so busy with work. We thought... That's interesting, I said, voice even, because you didn't even ask. She swallowed hard. Honey, it wasn't personal. It always is, I said. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I let her sit in it, and then, for the first time in my life, I didn't let her off the hook. I let her sit there, shifting uncomfortably, looking for a way to twist the conversation back in her favor. For once, I didn't let her. She had nothing to say that would change what happened. No excuse that would make it better. I watched as she cycled through her usual tricks, fake concern, guilt, downplaying the situation. None of them landed. I wasn't playing the game anymore. After a few seconds of silence, she forced out a laugh. Oh, Jess, don't be so dramatic. It was just a trip. I smiled, not the kind she was expecting. You're right, I said. And now it's just me being busy. Just me choosing to put my own life first. Nothing personal. Her jaw tensed. She wasn't used to being on this side of the conversation. She tried to keep the mood light as she left, but I could feel the tension in her voice, the uncertainty. She couldn't figure out what was happening. I wasn't arguing. I wasn't making a scene. I was just done. She must have called my father on the way home, because the next day he showed up at my job. I saw him through the glass doors of my office building, standing outside with his hands in his pockets, waiting. Typical. He'd never respected my boundaries, so why would he start now? I walked outside but didn't stop, just kept moving toward my car. Jess, he called, hurrying after me. Come on, don't be like this. I unlocked my door. Be like what? You're being unreasonable. Your mother is worried sick. I almost laughed. Worried about what? That I'd finally caught on? She said you think we left you out on purpose, he continued. That's ridiculous. Is it? I turned to face him, leaning against my car. You knew I couldn't take time off work. You planned it for that exact time. That wasn't an accident. He scoffed. So what? We were supposed to schedule our whole lives around you? No, just not lie to me. That shut him up for a second. He exhaled through his nose, shaking his head. Look, we didn't tell you because we knew you'd overreact. I smiled. Right. So the solution was to prove me right? He shifted his stance, crossing his arms. You're making this a bigger deal than it is. You've always been so independent. We figured you wouldn't care about something like this. That part stung. Not because it was true, but because it was what they had always told themselves to justify what they did. I had never been independent by choice. I had been forced to be. I let out a breath. You know what's funny? When you needed me, when you needed money or babysitting or favors, you never once thought I was too independent. His face darkened. Jess? No, I said sharply. You don't get to spin this. You don't get to stand here and act like this is my fault. You needed me my whole life. I needed you once, and you lied to me. I opened my car door. He stepped forward like he wanted to stop me, but something in my face must have warned him not to. I got in and shut the door. I didn't look back as I drove away. But I wasn't done yet. I knew how they worked. If I didn't make things explicitly clear, they'd tell themselves whatever version of reality made them feel better. So I made sure there was only one version. I went home, blocked my sister's number, then my brother's, then my parents'. Then I did something I should have done a long time ago. I quit the family group chat. It was instant. Less than a minute later, my mom was calling my work phone. I ignored it. Then an email popped up. Subject: What are you doing? Body: Jess, this is childish. I don't know what you think you're accomplishing, but we are still your family. Call me back. I deleted it. They weren't my family. Not anymore. They had made that choice a long time ago. I was just finally making mine. I really didn't expect how quickly things would fall apart without me. At first, they tried to act like nothing had changed. Maybe they thought I just needed some time to cool off, that I'd come back like I always did, that I'd eventually feel guilty enough to pick up the phone, answer a text, step back into the role I had played for years. But this time, I didn't. And without me, everything started breaking down. It happened gradually at first. Little things. My sister, unable to find a babysitter, started missing shifts at work. A couple of missed shifts turned into warnings. Warnings turned into fewer scheduled hours. Since she was making half of what she used to, my brother, whose finances had always been a disaster, ran out of people to ask for help. The money I had loaned him in the past had never been repaid, and now that I wasn't around, he had no safety net. He had always assumed our parents would bail him out if I wasn't there, but they were drowning too. Because the thing is, they had always depended on me more than they realized. I had never outright given them money, but I had covered bills when they came up short, chipped in for groceries, paid for things here and there just to help out. I had taken care of problems before they even became problems, patching up the holes in a sinking ship. And now that I was gone, the whole thing was sinking fast. A week after I cut them off, my mom called my work phone. I let it go to voicemail. The message was eerily calm. Jess, sweetheart, I know you're upset, but things are really difficult right now. Your sister is struggling. Your brother is having a hard time. We just need a little help getting through this rough patch. Call me back, okay? I didn't call back. The next day, another voicemail. This time she sounded more strained. Jess, I don't understand what you're trying to prove. We're family. You're making things harder than they need to be. I know you don't want to see us suffer, so I ignored it. Then the real panic started. A call from an unknown number, then another, and another. I finally answered, already exhausted. Hello? A sharp breath, then my sister's voice. Are you seriously going to let Mom and Dad lose the house? I blinked. What? They're behind on their mortgage, she snapped. They were covering for me and Brandon when we needed help, and now they're screwed. They're literally weeks away from losing everything, Jess. Something inside me froze. This was bigger than I had realized. I had known they were struggling, but this? It was almost impressive in a way. They had gone on a luxury vacation just months ago, guilt-tripped me into canceling my trip to support the family, and now, suddenly, they were on the edge of financial ruin. What do you expect me to do? I asked, my voice flat. Oh my God, Jess, are you serious? Mom and Dad are going to be homeless. They need help. I let that sink in. They needed help, just like I had needed help growing up, just like I had needed support when I put myself through college, worked multiple jobs, took care of myself while they threw money at you and Brandon. They had never been there for me, but now that their backs were against the wall, now I was supposed to save them? Jess, my sister tried again. We're talking about Mom and Dad's house, the house we grew up in. You can't just... I cut her off. If I lost my job tomorrow, if I couldn't pay my rent, if I called and begged for help, would you take me in? Silence, a long, cold, telling silence. Jess, she said quieter now, that's not... It is the same, I said, and you know it. Another pause, and then anger. You're being so vindictive, she snapped. We're supposed to be family. We were supposed to be family when you all went on a vacation and left me behind. That's not the same thing. Goodbye, Lisa. I hung up, and this time I felt nothing. No guilt, no second guessing. They had made their choices. Now they were living with them. A few days later, my mom showed up at my apartment. I wasn't even surprised. I opened the door to find her standing there, her face pale, eyes red like she had been crying. She didn't even try to pretend this time. Jess, she whispered, we have nowhere else to go. I let those words settle between us. She meant it. They had exhausted every option, burned through every lifeline. I was their last resort. And I knew in that moment that if I let them back in, if I helped them now, after everything, they would never stop. They would never change. And I would never be free. I inhaled slowly, gripping the door frame. I'm sorry, I said, but I can't help you. Her lips trembled. Just please. If I was the one standing here, I said softly, would you let me in? Tears spilled down her cheeks. You're our daughter. I nodded. And I was your daughter when you chose to leave me out. I stepped back and I shut the door. I stood there listening, waiting. I heard her cry. I heard her plead one more time, and then finally I heard her leave. I exhaled, feeling something lift off my chest. It was over. Was I wrong for not helping her? Leave your thoughts in the comments.